Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of Unkaged Minds. Today my guest is Mr. Luis Salvaria. I hope I'm saying your last name correctly, Luis. Um, Luis is an engineer as well as a real estate investor. Um, uh, Came to this country 10 years ago, managed to, from that time to now, managed to build a portfolio of about a dozen rental real estate properties, primarily single families and multifamilies, duplexes. And as of about 2.5 weeks ago, made a transition into a much larger asset, which is a 17 unit multifamily. So, first of all, Luis, congratulations on that. And Luis is here today to basically tell us about his experience and also to let us know what the do's and don'ts are. And, for those of you who want to get into a larger asset class, a multifamily, and maybe challenged with what its capital or experience, he'll walk you through in terms of what you can do in order to get there. So, Luis, welcome. And let's just jump straight into it. Came to this country in 2011. How did you get into real estate and why?
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for having me here and on this platform. And let me tell you something. I'm an engineer by trade, but I've always been curious about business, and that's how I became about like trying to get into the real estate arena. I had been doing that before I came to the US. I was actually in Brazil before I came here. So
Okay.
I had some experience there. I have built some houses, and I think outside the US is the market is more of what you think you know about real estate. And let me explain that. It's basically what people see on TV. You know,
Okay.
a lot of the things that you see outside the US are just what you see on TV. So meaning, flipping, you get something, you build it from scratch because you find the land. So that's kind of what I did and kind of what I had done before I came here to the US. Since I came to the US, I started doing this kind of the same thing. I flipped a house here and there, found or realized that it was more of buying into a job. It was really active. Granted, you could make some money, of course, doing that,
Of course.
but I think you would generate income and not wealth. And that's really the question, a lot of people get into this game, and I always say game, but a lot of people get into this industry thinking that it's going to be, like a get rich quick kind of scheme. It's not really quick and not really get rich anyway. So I don't
I
really
know what
know
you're saying.
why they say that, but they do say that. It's like really getting to the HGTV type of deal where you just find a house, it's all dilapidated, you find it for pennies on the dollar, and then you send it for big bucks. And that's kind of the idea, and it's fine in theory, but it turns out that it's not really what it is in reality. There are a lot of costs, a lot of stuff that you have to take into account before going into these deals, that if you don't know, once you get into the deal, you're like, okay, I didn't know that I had to pay, commissions for the real estate agents, or I didn't know that I had to pay holding costs because, of course, I'm going to hold the property while I'm building it. So all this stuff really eat into your profit, and in the end, like the profit is good. It may be good, but there are a lot of stuff that you don't see at the beginning. And in the end, as I said, it's more of an active type of thing where you do something, you do a transaction, and that transaction, that deal is done. You don't ever have to come back to it.
So, Luis, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you talk about the beginning, let's go there.
Sure.
How little did you actually start with when you bought your first property?
I actually partnered with a friend of mine. He wanted to do something in real estate. He wanted to invest. And I said, what? We can do something together. I'll find the property. I know what I'm doing. So basically, I started with nothing because I didn't actually put up of any of my money. I started putting up my knowledge into the
Yeah.
deal, you know. So that first deal, I didn't put any money. And there's been a couple of deals where I didn't actually put any money because I knew what I was doing. It just takes time to find the right properties if you don't invest your own money. I realized now that I'm into the multifamily arena that if you want to find better properties and if you want to find better partners for that matter, you need to put some money of your own as well.
Of course.
That's what I realized, you know, and something actually happened when I did that. I realized that people trust you more. It's like, you know, they want to invest with you more if they see, first of all, that you're putting up some money out of your own pocket.
Yeah.
That's one. But also they see that you have commitment.
Of course.
On the deal. Like, you know, even though I did have a commitment before I actually invested a penny on it, because that's just the way I do it, you know, they didn't know that. They didn't know that I was committed, you know. Now that they see that I have, you know, money in the deal, it's like, okay, now he's committed, you know. So they see that more easily, you know. So so I realized that.
So
Anyway.
let me ask you this. Coming back to your first property. So you bought your first property. Coming into the second property, did you refinance that first property, use the proceeds from there to get into the second property, or did you just raise capital for the second property? How
No,
did you
actually,
how
for
did you
the first,
navigate that?
so the first property was actually a flip.
Okay.
So we raised the money, we invested, you know, working on the deal, you know,
Of course.
and then we sold it, and that was it.
Okay.
Right. So I realized that there were a few things that I learned from that experience.
Yeah.
Because I never worked with somebody like a partner on any type of deals, and I realized that sometimes, you know, when you have to you know, work with somebody else day by day, like, you know, trying to make a decision on, you know, let's do this or let's do that, it's more difficult. You know, I realized that he was a friend of mine, but still, like, he wanted to do some stuff or some things to the property that, in my vision, we didn't need to actually do those things, you know?
Okay.
So that's one of the things that I realized. I realized that it's actually better for any type of deal to have just one direction, just one person making all the decisions, and everyone else would have to be on board with that person. And if that actually works, the deal flow actually is better. That's one thing that I realized. So, like, what you're asking me, like, so when did I go into the second deal? So I realized that I didn't want to do the active thing, you know, like always finding a deal like a lot of flippers do. And they're actually realizing now that it's more difficult to find properties just because the market is so hot right now everywhere in the US, that to find a property that actually makes sense with the numbers is more and more difficult now. So I realized that, you know, back in the early stages, and I didn't want to be outside the market just trying to find diamonds, you know, in the rough, just because, you know, that's what a lot of people were doing. So there was a lot of competition doing that. Whereas there wasn't a lot of competition finding properties to keep as a rental, you know? So I kind of shifted my way of things, actually doing things, you know? And I realized that it was better for business, for wealth, to build wealth, to keep things, to keep deals, to keep properties as long as I could. That's where the real wealth is.
That's perfect. So now we've established that you've made a decision to buy and hold because you want to rent. So you've started with your single families, your duplexes, now you're into multifamilies.
Yes.
Given the experience that you've had over the years of accumulating these assets, right, of acquiring these assets, for someone who wants to get into real estate right now, would you advise, my first question to you, would you advise them to start small and go with a single family or a duplex? Or would you say to them, hey, why not go with a 20 unit? What would be your advice to them?
Sure.
Start small or just start at something
You know
that's,
what? The advice that I would give anybody would be to first of all start. That's because a lot of people don't see that's an option, right? But a lot of people say that they want to do some investing and they don't do it. So
yeah,
the first thing that I would advise them would be to start. You know, it doesn't have to be one or the other, but at least start. If they're going to start in real estate, I would say don't make the mistake of starting too small, because you realize, I mean, you think that it's going to be, if it's a smaller deal, if it's a smaller
more
house,
manageable.
that the risk is going to be smaller, you know, but it actually is higher sometimes, because first of all, you are the only one making the decisions and you don't know what you're doing,
Yeah,
right? So you need a team. But if you need a good team, you're going to have to pay them somehow, you know, they're going to have to be part of your team, so they're going to be paid. And if the deal is too small, there isn't a lot of space to do that. And what
okay.
I mean is, for example, you know, if you only have one single family house, sometimes, actually most of the times, you're not going to need a property manager.
Yeah.
So you're going to think, you know what, I'm going to save that money and I'm going to do it myself. And in the end, it turns out that what you're actually doing is just buying into another job. Now you've become the property manager.
Yeah, because at midnight you're going to be getting up to go take care of somebody's sewer system, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how everything happens after hours.
Yeah.
I mean, no toilets break during business hours. I don't know how they do it, you know, but
Yeah.
so yeah, it's like, so you need the team, you know, and if the deal is bigger, like this 17 unit property that I just bought, you know, 3 weeks ago, or anything bigger than that, actually, for that matter, then there is space for other people to be in the deal and everybody can make money.
Yeah.
There you can actually have other investors, you know, invest with you, or you can have a property manager actually, and not, or you should have a property manager manage this type of assets, because first of all, you don't know what you're doing, and second of all, they do know what they're doing and you have to trust them. So all you have to do is just manage them. You have to manage one person instead of managing, you know, 15, 20, 50 tenants. You only manage one company, one entity,
Of course.
and they do what they actually do best, which is manage, you know, the asset and the people and the tenants and the utilities and everything, you know. So they
Yeah.
manage everything. All you have to manage is just one person. So it's a lot easier doing it that way. So for people that are thinking, going back to your question, you know, should I invest, get my feet wet, and just invest in one little small single family? I would say, I know where you're coming from, but I would say, you know, try to see if you can invest in something bigger, because it's going to be more solid. First of all, you're going to have a lot of people that have vetted this property, this deal, before you even get in there, you know. So even before you say, you know, I'm going to get my feet wet, a lot of people are going to tell you their advice and their opinions on that specific deal.
Yeah.
So you're actually going to be more protected. So trust those people that know more than you, is what I'm saying.
You know, the crazy thing is working on the financing end of the deals. It's easier to get you qualified. It's for a larger property. Let's say a multifamily that's I don't know, 20 units, right? It's easier for me to qualify you at 20 units sometimes as opposed to getting you qualified for a single family residence, right? It's just way too much red tape. You know what I mean? And restrictions, right? But I know you tapped a little bit on this already, but I'm going to ask you this question in detail. If someone wants to get into, let's say, a multifamily, because we've already established that the best way to do this now, if you're looking for, passive income and to build long-term wealth, you have to start with multifamily. Where or what would your advice be if someone wants to do that but do not have the capital or experience? I know you tapped a little on it just now, especially with the capital when you said, hey, you can bring in investors on the deal. But I actually want you to go a little bit more into detail with that because I know there's a lot of people out there that wants to get into real estate, but one of the main reasons that they haven't made that commitment or jumped headfirst into it is because they do not have the required capital, right? So, what would be your take on this?
Sure. Let me start. So you touched on a point. So you asked a couple of questions there. Let me see if I can actually answer them correctly. So if it was me, right, trying to find, say that I have a W-2 job, like a lot of people do. I'm trying to diversify. I'm trying to invest in something else other than stocks, basically, which is what
Yeah,
I have right now. And a lot of people have this notion that real estate is the way to go.
yeah,
And let me tell you something, it is. But I'm not going to say that right now. I'm not the guru in real estate. I'm just somebody that works, in the W-2 job. So what do I do now, right? So what I would do, because it's basically what I did at the beginning, was finding groups, finding information. You need to at
yeah,
least know the basics, you
yeah,
know, and it doesn't have to be with me. It can, of course. I mean, you can always
of course.
contact me or even you, because you have a ton of knowledge as well. But what I would say is just you need to find information about multifamily investing. The words, cap rates, equity partners, loans, mortgages, everything that you need to know, at least the glossary, the words, you need to know those things, and there are a lot of people out there, a lot of groups that you can see and ask and join, that would be the step that I would
First
take
step.
as a first step. Now, after doing that, let's say that now
Now you
those
have
things,
information. Time for
you have
capital.
information. Exactly. Now you have information. Okay, what to do next? That would be for my example. If I had those things, I would find people in that space that are doing it, that are investing, that have deals, and I would talk to them. So what are you doing? Rab, I mean, I see that you're doing this, you're doing that. So like, how do I get a piece of that? I mean, can I even invest with you, or is it closed? I mean, some people may have opportunities sometimes, some people may not.
Yeah.
So just talk to these people, whoever they may be. Maybe they're in your market. I'm in Houston, Texas, but maybe these guys are in California and they want to invest in Arizona, you know so maybe it's for them better to find somebody in Arizona than talking to me, because I'm in Houston, Texas. But if you are looking to invest in Houston, Texas, talk to me, or
Of course.
anybody else that is actually in Houston doing it. They're going to have a lot of information that they can give you, especially here, since this city is so big, and you have like all these people investing here anyway. And so that would be it. I would find information first, and then find people that are actually doing what you want to do or what you want to achieve as a goal for your investing, and talk to them. Because it may turn out that maybe what you think is your goal as a financial goal, maybe like you don't even know, because the thing is that you don't know what you don't know, right? And sometimes what you think may not entirely be not true, but like maybe you can do so much more, is what I mean,
Yeah.
than you initially thought. you know so I would say go out there and ask people, connect with them, and then at the end, I can actually give you my details, so people can connect with me, so they start the conversation there.
That's incredible advice. And here's the thing. Let's take immigrants for example. A lot of immigrants, whenever I have a conversation with them and I talk to them about multifamily investing, the mentality is that most of them think I'm talking about duplexes or triplex, right? it's never a case where I'll give you a perfect example. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a gentleman, and I kept talking about multifamily, and I think at the time, the price point that we were discussing was somewhere around 12 to 13 million. And he stopped me and he said, "Wait a second, you're talking about multifamily. Is this a four family?" Like, no, it's not a four family. We're talking about an apartment complex, right?
Right. Right.
And it's crazy because it's a thing that we take for granted sometimes, right? And yeah, it's what I'm starting to see a lot of in this business is people not having enough information or the right information as well too. So I'm glad that you touched on that in terms of that being the number one thing that people need to do is getting acquainted with, like you said, a glossary, right? The terms, right? Like
Terms, yeah.
knowing all of this, because, a lot of people right from the get-go, they don't understand that for us, whenever we're talking about multifamily, we're talking about apartments in general, right? For the most part. Whether it's a mix of, whether it's just residential or a mix of residential and retail, either which ways, it's the same thing, right? It's all towards passive income. What's your goal, your end goal?
Oh man, I have so big
Because
goals right now.
I'm asking that because I know that you've begun this transition where you're moving away from that into this 17 unit. I know that your next project is probably going to be 50 to 100 units. So tell me, what's your end goal with this?
You know what? It's been a nice journey to
Yeah.
be here, investing in multifamily. My goal has grown as I have grown,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I think when I was thinking about my goals a year ago, I was this little person
Yeah.
inside myself. I was the same person outside, but inside myself, I was just like a small person thinking of goals up to here, because I thought that was enough. But now I've realized that I've grown. So I'm a bigger person now inside. And I think my goals should match that person inside. So my goals are going to be bigger now. And the reason that they're bigger is because I think, we need to take care of or not only our family, but our extended family, meaning our community, our friends, our cousins and uncles and aunts, that notion of, I'm doing this, I'm working or whatever I'm doing it only because of my kids and my wife. For me, that notion is selfish.
Yeah.
To be honest, that notion is selfish. There is a world out there that needs you to give more, and I thank you for that question, because I think that's how you make it known, that
Of
you want
course.
to help people get to their goals. And a lot of people, I've realized that a lot of people that we know, they are in the position of wanting to invest. They have some money, but they don't have a vehicle to do it.
Yeah.
So by doing this, investing in multifamily, I'm actually able to help all those people, realize their dreams and their goals. I'm of course doing the same for my family. I'm realizing
Yeah.
my goals as well. And if we can do it together, let's do it together,
Of course.
So that's why my goals now are, before it used to be, I actually have them written right here. They used to be 300 plus units.
Yeah.
Now for me, it's just like 300 units. That's just like the
nothing.
next goal. It's
Yeah.
just one of many, I want to have
That's awesome.
thousands of units, thousands, because I need thousands for my vision, like
Yeah.
for the vision that I have to, help people have passive income where they don't really have to apply themselves or be active in the business.
Yeah.
So the more people I can get to see that vision, the more people I'm going to be able to help,
Okay.
and that's how I feel. So I feel that my goals are actually, bigger because of that. And they are bigger. They are bigger.
That's incredible, man. And that speaks to mindset as well, too, right? And that's something that we didn't touch on as yet. We spoke about how people can get into this and getting the knowledge, the resources, the capital, but mindset, I think, is where it should really start from, right? And what do you have to say about mindset? Tell me a little bit about that, because for 10 years of being in this business, right, as an investor, I'm pretty sure that you would have had a lot of setbacks, a lot of disappointments. Tell me a little bit about that. Talk to me about your mindset when it comes to that.
Definitely. I think, being in this business, as with any other business, I would say, is like climbing a mountain. You
Yeah.
need to have the proper training, you need to have the proper equipment to do that, and you need to have the proper training and trainers to help you, coaches to help you with that. It's very similar. And a lot of people say, when they're talking about investing in multifamily or real estate for that matter, they say, yeah, let's climb that mountain. That mountain looks awesome. Let's do that. And then, you tell them, so great. So now tomorrow you're going to have to wake up at 4 in the morning. And you're like, yes, we need to train. And they're like, well, yeah, I don't know if I need to get to that mountain anymore, So that's when they realized that mountain, it was just like a dream. They never intended to actually do the work to get there. And that's just to say that mindset, I think, is the key for you to better any type of, good part in your life. You need the mindset, the good mindset, to be healthy, to eat right. It's always easy to, to see a dessert, that you shouldn't eat at, 10 o'clock at night. It's very easy to actually say, you know what, I'll just have a piece. But if you have the mindset that you should have, it's like, let's just save it for tomorrow. I'll have it tomorrow. And you can eat it tomorrow, but not at 10 o'clock in the evening. That's going to mess you up. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can have what you want to have, but you have to have a strong mindset to when to have it and where to have it, So you also need the mindset that you need as an entrepreneur to actually do some kind of business like this. It needs to be in the right place. Yeah. You need to let go of those fears of, what happens if, we get into another COVID stuff, or what happens if we get into another mortgage crisis like in 2008, or what happens if we get into another .com like in 2001. So something's going to happen. Always something's going to happen. So you
not
need
even
to
external.
have that mindset. Say it again.
I said it's not even external. Sometimes it's just family, the people that's closest to you, right? Sure. With the negative voices and everything else, right? Is having that mindset to just block all of that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean exactly. And sometimes you have to have that mindset, that little person that tells you, listen to them. Thank you for sharing. Tell them thank you for sharing. Like, it can be your mom, it can be your brother, it can be your sister, it can be whoever that wants to protect you. You can tell them, thank you for sharing that. Because I love you, I'm gonna thank you. I'm not gonna take that position because I know better. Okay. You are the investor, not them, right? So you need to have that conviction, because when things get tough, and they will at some point, and something's going to come up that you didn't think of, a drainage pipe is going to be clogged and you're going to have to spend thousands to just clear it, or foundation is going to crack just as soon as you buy the property, or a hurricane is going to hit as soon as you buy the property or a little bit later, so your insurance premiums are going to go up. So everything's going to happen. Of course. So you have to be prepared, not necessarily for the technical stuff, because you will have to have insurance. You will have to know, your attorney, in case somebody else's, food gets stuck in somewhere, and you have to, like, if you get sued or something. So you're going to have to do that. Definitely. You're going to have to get the technical stuff out of the way. But if you don't have a strong sense of mindset, man, you're going to suffer. You're not going to sleep. You're going to be, awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, wondering like, what am I going to do about this? Who should I call about that? And granted, that's happened to me. That's how I know.
Yeah.
But that's how I keep in the business of exercising my mind, not only exercising, my body. You need to exercise as well. That's also another of the pillars that you need to have. You definitely need to take care of yourself. You need energy to take care of all this. You need energy. So you need to eat right, and you need to take care of yourself. So you need to do that for sure. But you also need to exercise this. And how do you do that? I've listened that the average CEO reads 62 books per year. 62 books per year. That's more than one book per week.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's crazy. Let's see if I can get to half. And you know what? It's been crazy, but I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And I see, I'm listening to a book like every 5 or 6 days.
Okay, that and I can
realized,
do.
That you can do. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I'm a fan of Audible, right?
Yeah.
But to read, I think I'm a bit dyslexic.
I'm listening to books. I'm not reading. I'm sorry.
Yeah, not only that.
I'm listening to books. Yes.
Yeah, with my schedule, it's just crazy. So I can do the audio version. It's really hard to actually.
No, me too. But now it's like you don't have any excuses, right? I mean, like, what's excuse? I mean, you get on your car. Of course, you're not going to be reading because you have to watch the road, but you can always be listening. And it's not the same, of course, if you are at home listening to the book at home than if you are driving a car, because you still have to pay attention to what you're doing on the car.
Yeah.
But at least you're listening to it. And you know what? Some of the stuff, some of the books that I'm listening to, a lot of them, I know a lot of what they're talking about, but you're listening not for what you know already. You're listening for that piece of information that tells you like, you know what?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Or maybe I heard that, but this is a better way to do that.
Yeah.
So that's when I stop. I actually take my phone out and I make a note of that little passage, of that little, phrase that they said in the book that really resonated with me.
Of course.
If it's a book, like a dense book where you need to pay a lot of attention to that book, I would avoid, listening to it on the car, for example. I would actually do that at home on my own, because that way it actually helps me, just to write and make a lot of notes.
I call it feeding the mind, man. Everyone that's on my team, everyone that works for me, I make sure that I push that on them, where every single week they have to feed their mind. I should say actually every single day you just have to open yourself to something new, right? So yeah, the mindset that's definitely a major of major importance, right? Getting it right. So I'm going to ask you this. At this point, if anyone's interested in doing real estate, are you looking for investors to partner up with, new investors, or are you looking for experienced investors only? Who are you looking to partner up with at this point?
Right now, I'm actually looking for people that see my vision, people that want to invest passively, and people that want to better their lives,
of course,
in some kind of way. And I would say it doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be a new investor just starting out, and it doesn't have to be somebody that has done 100 deals. It could be somebody in between. It could be the new one or the older one, like more experienced one. For me, that's not really a problem right now. Right now, I would say to grow, the person that I'm concentrating on right now would be the person that has the funds to invest and they don't know what to invest them on, what to invest that money on, that would be
Of
the
course.
people that I'm looking for, because maybe I can actually give them some clarity. If I can give them some clarity, then I'm set. Because that doesn't mean that they're going to invest with me, but at least they're going to know I'm going to give them some kind of knowledge that they didn't have before.
Yeah. And you see, that's with this program, with this platform that I have here, this is my only goal, right? To just give information, as much information as possible. There's so many people out there, man, that is talking about like these real estate gurus, right? That's here talking about real estate investing and all of that. And I can't stand it, Luis. I can't bloody stand it. I have 20 years of experience in this business from all facets of real estate, right? Whether it's on the brokerage side, on the banking end, as a developer, I have all of this experience. And listening to some of these morons out there talk about real estate, I can't stand it. And I have to tell you, that's one of the reasons I reached out to you to have this conversation, because whoever's listening to this, right, even if it's one person out there, I want them to understand that, you are not a real estate guru. You're not someone who teaches real estate. You don't have a course to sell. You're not doing anything in that space that you're profiting from, right? This is solely someone who went out there and has done it by trial and error, and you're just sharing your experience, right? And that's the reason I wanted you to come on here for us to talk about this, because you're someone who's been doing this for the past 10 years, right? And I've managed to build your portfolio to a point where, I'm pretty sure your passive income, well, for some people, where you're at right now, that might be just fine enough for them to say, you know what, I'm going to retire, right? You're now getting started. That's
Oh
amazing,
yeah,
man, right?
oh yeah. I'm just
That,
getting started, man. I'm just getting started.
that's incredible. I can't wrap this up without not asking this one question, right? And that one question is, I had the privilege to provide the funding for your multifamily transaction. How was it working with me?
Great, great.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying it because you're there and you're listening to me. I'm saying it because it's true.
yeah,
Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying it. Um, and I think I told you, but I'm going to repeat it just for everybody's sake. We had our issues at the beginning. We had some problems at the beginning and all
yeah,
that. And I told you and your partner George that I didn't mind those problems, those issues, because I know I'm used to issues. I'm used to problems. All we have
yeah,
to do is just get through them.
yeah,
And in the end, for me, it's more important to know that you care, to know that you know what you're doing, and to know that you are also going to solve those problems to get to the other side.
yeah,
And that's what you did. That's what you did. That's why I'm here. That's why I was able to close on this deal. And and it's funny, but you said it right. I mean, to fund this deal was actually more difficult because this deal was under $1 million,
yeah.
and to fund that deal was actually more stressful than a deal that you may be doing
Yeah,
right now,
of
but a
course,
lot more.
of course.
you know. So even if we got those issues at the beginning, we were able to actually get it done and get it closed. And I thank you for that.
No, man, it was a pleasure working with you. I look forward to the next one, Luis, and I have to tell you, we're gonna go on to do incredible things together. I look forward to that. Um, and the next time we close on your next property, I'm
Yeah.
looking for an excuse to come back down to Texas. So please
Cool.
make sure we get the next one on the books as soon as possible.
Of course, my friend. Of course, we will. Thank you so
Have a
much,
good
Rob.
one.
You too.
Thank you again.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.